You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Looks like we do have a new caller today, so let's go ahead and get started with Sam in Eau Claire, looks like.
What's up, Brian? This is Sam up in Eau Claire.
Yo.
New caller here. Just wanted to give you a call. I heard you guys are interested in some recipes, so I figured I'd give you a call and let you know about something that I always make up called an armadillo egg. I don't know if you've heard about it before.
I have.
If not, man, skip it. But what I do, it's basically a jalapeno popper on steroids. Take a whole jalapeno, you core it out, fill it up with some cream cheese, maybe some chives and onion or a little garlic in there as well. Mix that all up. Wrap that in about a quarter pound of pork sausage. And you normally use mild, but you can use spicy if you want. And then wrap that up into a nice egg shape. Fully seal it up. Wrap it in bacon. Cover it in some barbecue sauce. And then throw it on the smoker for 2 to 3 hours at about 275. Man, so good. Let me know what you think. Anyways, Sam in Eau Claire, out.
It's awesome, man. I appreciate that. I have not made that. I'm pretty iffy and weird about vegetables, although everything that I've ever had involving jalapeno is delicious. It can be overdone. I'd be a little worried about having like a whole thing, usually, little chunks or whatever, but maybe I go a little heavy on the sausage or something. I've usually actually seen them with, I think, ground beef, unless I just assumed it was ground beef and it's actually sausage, but sausage makes a lot more sense, to be honest. And then, yeah, as far as the middle, I do maybe cream cheese mixed with some cheese or something, shredded cheese. I'm not doing chives and onions. That's just, that ain't ever going to happen. But, yeah, wrapped in bacon and whatnot. I could get behind that. The issue is I would be iffy on whether I'd like it, and I don't know who else would eat it. My wife is a vegetarian. All my kids are about as picky as I am. I'm working on it. They always start off good. Like, my youngest is great. She'll eat whatever. That's how they all are. And then as they get older, all of a sudden, And it's just, I don't know. Never thought my kids would have this problem because I was raised with the, if you don't eat it, you can starve parents, and I thought I would be that parent, and my son had such horrible, debilitating food issues when he was younger that, he would go into like a panic attack. And when I would tell him that he can go to bed and starve, he was so relieved that he got to starve. So it was like, I don't think this tactic is going to work with him because there's something very wrong here. That he couldn't be any happier that I'm going to let him starve to death. So we actually put him through like food therapy and stuff, which was pretty good. He's still extremely picky, but he's getting much better. My middle daughter is following suit, although I think she's picky by choice. She's also just stubborn, so it's like, what can I eat? Eat this. I don't want that. Then you can starve. Okay, fine. Freaking kids, man. So my youngest would eat it. I would eat it. My middle girl would probably try it. Oldest, if I ever see her, which is maybe once a week, if she happens to be around, might try it. I don't know. But I definitely appreciate it. Love that that's your first call. Please keep it coming. Football started, so we gotta do this thing. I always said I'm gonna do like a cookbook or a recipe thing. Maybe I'll just throw it on packersgames.com. Just make like a recipe section. That'd be freaking awesome. We could have fan submitted ones. I like that. You guys send in, what is the, you just send it to me. What's the recipe? What is it? Send me some pictures. I think that could be kind of cool. That site is just going to be like a mishmash of everything I ever thought was cool. So once we get that up and running, Sam, maybe we could throw yours up there. We can say Sam's armadillo eggs. You can throw your social media stuff up there, whatever you guys want. Could even have people try it and rate it. I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I think a lot of things are cool. I only have so much time in the day, though, is my problem. And then I end up not delivering on anything I say I'm going to do. But it still would be cool, and I do want it, so see how it goes. All right, back to the top. We've got Beer Cheese Benny.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny here.
What's up?
I'm listening to this After Dark, and everybody just keeps talking about food, okay? So I'm just going to tell you something that I've been doing.
Do it.
I've been doing this for a while, so I never told anybody. But the way I've been cooking steaks is elite, okay?
All right, I love it.
All right, so this is what you do. Get your steaks, and preferably it's easier, I'll be honest, to have a little bit thicker steaks. I did this the other day with some ribeyes, and
by the way, that's the thing I learned from the tomahawk steak. Because the tomahawk steak it's nothing super special. It's just the steak, but it's still on a bone, but super thick. And it depends how you like your steak. Some people like it thinner because the Maillard, the char on the outside is what you like the most. So if it's thinner, you get a higher percentage of that. I like the steak. And I also like that on a thick steak, you can blast the living crap out of the outside and still have a perfect medium rare on the inside. Whereas, obviously, with a thinner steak, it's going to be hard to get much medium rare when you sear. So, yeah, a solid inch and a half steak, That's the money right there.
I wasn't thinking, and so basically, you got to season up your steaks however you want, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But, you kind of just, stab it with the fork, okay? You just stab it all over with the fork.
Okay.
And you melt some butter. You put the butter over the steaks, all right? And then you put them in, a pan. Set your oven for 275.
Okay.
And like I said, preferably thick, because you could just do it for 20 minutes, right? Put them in the oven for 20 minutes. Then you heat up your pan with the oil after all that's done. Make sure you check on those steaks every 10 minutes. And this is why I say that, because like I said, I had these ribeyes, they were a little bit thinner, and I put them in for 20 minutes, and they were already past, medium rare, but I was like, all right, well, whatever, dude. I have the butter on them, so that will enhance it anyways. So, check on them, get them to the temp you want, preferably medium rare, and if you don't do medium rare, grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you do is after you take it out of the oven, let that sit for, 5 minutes or so.
Sure.
And, I would say, put them in the oven, 275, 20 minutes. If they're thicker, like I said, I keep saying the same thing over and over. I'm sorry. Let me get to the point. Get them to that temp, right below medium rare, 130 or so, or whatever, 125 maybe. And then, pan sear them, dude. You only have to do a minute or two on each side. Dude, cash money steaks, my guy. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life. You got to do it. But, yeah, dude, love cooking me some steaks, man. And I got the Hexclad pan, so I'll be Gordon Ramsaying that thing, bro. I'm balling. So, yeah, dude. Everybody have a good one, and, yeah, eat some steaks, man. It's good for you, okay? Steaks are good for you, so just eat them.
Just do it. Nike. No, you're on the money with that. You're pretty much just describing what we call in the industry a reverse sear, which Gordon Ramsay is not a fan of, but he's an idiot. The reverse sear is absolutely fantastic for anything with any amount of thickness to it. If it's thinner, you just go ahead and sear it until it's done. But once you get a nice inch and a half steak, if you're using a charcoal grill, let's say, a Weber grill, you put your coals to one side. So you have your hot side, which would be your searing side, and then you have your cooler side. You put your steak on the cooler side. You set your temperature to, say, 225 is pretty standard grilling, smoking temperature. And you let it sit there, just like you said, until it gets to, I never know exactly which one. I'm always nervous about that. I don't have that exactly set down, but you're right. Probably, people would probably recommend even lower. People get super weird, and I swear carryover temperature is a myth. Every time I've tried to just let something rest, it never reaches the temperature, and then it gets cold. I don't know if I just have magic food or maybe I'm in a time warp. But no, yeah, you get it to 220 or whatever you want in that range, and then you just blast it right over the coals. Or if you don't have a grill or you're not using a grill, that's when you crank up the heat on the stovetop and you sear it off. That's when, Gordon Ramsay would do his stupid spoon in the butter on top of the steak thing, which I'm sure tastes good. I'm sure it's fine. But, yeah, the idea behind that is that's how you get the best wall-to-wall medium rare while also having a hard sear on the outside. The problem with searing first, like the chefs would tell you to do, you sear it and then you pop it in the oven, is that you're putting a massive blast of heat on the outside, and that's going to carry into the steak throughout the cook. So even though you've got it in a cooler oven, it's going to give you more a thicker band of gray on the outside when you sear it first. If you put it on the cooler side for the entire time, you've pretty much got wall-to-wall medium rare because you're bringing it up to that, 120 degrees or whatever, and it's going to be very evenly distributed because it's coming up so slowly as opposed to blasting it really early on. So you bring it up nice and slow. That's how you get the nice wall-to-wall medium rare. And then last minute, you sear the living crap out of one side, you flip it, sear the living crap out of the other side. Now you've got the beautiful Maillard crust on the steak. Put a little compound butter on it, like Beer Cheese Benny was saying. And then you got the perfect combo of the delicious, flavorful outside, but still the nice, beefy, medium rare steak on the inside. It's a beautiful thing. Why is Presbyterian trending? I always see random stuff trending. I'm like, what is going on? Is this anything interesting or something stupid? Funny thing is, I never get an answer. When you click on what's trending, I look through it, and it's all just random disconnected things. So I don't know what's causing these things to trend. But yeah, dude, you're on it. You're on the money there. Only other thing to do outside of that is make sure you get some good steaks. If you got a good cook, you got a good, thickness. You got the cooking method, you got the thickness. Add in a little compound butter, and your seasoning is also important. Make sure you salt it up real well, and if you want to do a salt, pepper, garlic like I like to do, go for it. Don't put any stupid stuff on it, man. Don't go crazy. I can't stand like the steak rubs. Like, what are you putting all that stuff on there for? That's just too much, man. Executive orders on AI. Accelerating permitting to build data center infrastructure, promoting the export of American AI models, protecting Americans. Whatever, dude. Just give me more AI. Sorry, I'm distracted here. Tell you what, let's take a break. We'll come back. We got Daniel from California.
Ryan, Daniel from California.
Yo.
Chef's kiss, man. I just love your ranking, dude. I just absolutely love it. Jordan is in an injured year. He's number 10. That's where I see it. It's so accurate, and the fact that Caleb is, I think, 30th. It's just everything about the whole situation.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Makes me feel good. I really appreciate this ranking. It's an honest ranking. Jalen Hurts. Think about the guy's receivers. He's got.
It's pretty wild.
I'm drawing blank because it's just he's got AJ Brown, all right, and then he's got the other guy from Alabama. I'm drawing blank right now. He's on my fantasy team too. I should know his name, but he's got good players. He's got this elite offensive line. And even with all the help in the world, he's 12. I love it. He's 12. Mahomes, he got carried across the end zone so many times by the refs.
Yeah.
I think definitively you could say 4 to 6 games were definitively won at the end of a game by the refs for the Chiefs. Like, basically carrying Mahomes across the finish line.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, there's so many things you can lean into. First of all, there's just an obvious decline that nobody wants to acknowledge because it's Mahomes. Once you reach superstar status, nobody wants to acknowledge it, but it's absolutely there. If this was year one, he would be in like C.J. Stroud territory. It wouldn't be like this Hall of Fame legendary Pat Mahomes territory. You've also just got these wildly inaccurate throws. Look at how weird it is, how many dropped interceptions there are with Mahomes. And maybe that number has come up, but I know over the years, it's like he has so many dropped interceptions. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how. I mean, he's got that Tom Brady luck going on where just everything goes his way. The refs are going his way. The luck goes his way. The drops, the ball bounces, everything is going his way. I like Mahomes. Seems like a nice enough guy. Seems like a really hard worker. He's tough. He's super talented. I'm not just trying to crap on him. I don't like that nobody's willing to acknowledge the changes because the guy's name is Mahomes and we must always worship him for all time. I'm also not saying he can't skyrocket back up to number 1 this year. I'm just going based off what's happened the last couple of years. I'm sure if I went back 3, 4, 5 years ago, he is consistently at the top. He's just not right now. He's very good. He's extremely talented, which I think is the other thing. When he does good stuff, it's like everything's insane highlight reel. It's like Caleb Williams. You know how insufferable it's going to be if he's even like a top 15 quarterback? Because the things that he makes look good are going to be shown on SportsCenter for all time. But that's not what makes you a great quarterback. That's just a thing that happened at a certain point in time. All right, Randy in Minnesota, what's going on?
Hi, Ryan. It's Randy from Minnesota.
What's up?
Loved the deep dive you did on Jordan and actually how good how good the numbers were for him last year. It gives me a lot of confidence that this thing is going to turn around and he's going to go back to what I think he is, which is a top 10 quarterback. I really appreciate that dive you took in on it.
Good.
The other thing is I've been reading all these crazy trades that people think the Packers should be making for Watt or for Trey Hendricks.
Yep.
I mean, the compensation they want to give up. I saw one writer say we should give up Dobbs, Van Ness, a first and a third this year and a second next year. I'm like, are you crazy? And that was for Watt. And there's been similar.
Yeah, and I bet half the fan base would be fine with that, not even recognizing that not only are we giving up a first-round pick that could potentially play for 15 years and a third-round pick that could play for 15 years, not only are we losing Romeo Dobbs, we're also paying, $40 million a year for him on top of the fact that he's over 30 years old? That whole thing is insane to me. I'm sorry. Look, sometimes other teams have really good teams. And, we can't just be envious of everybody else on every other team. Sometimes other teams get it right. So I think, if there's opportunities that make sense, cool. But sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes it's just, I'll do anything it takes, even if it is just, the point is the compensation is not in our favor. And so as weird as it sounds, you're going backwards doing that stuff. You need to focus on finding your own. Okay, well, you're not going to get a guy that, well, maybe not, I don't know. But in 3 years, Watt is either going to be not very good anymore, he's going to be way too expensive because the salary cap is going to go up. We're going to be talking about having to get rid of him because we can't afford him anymore. And we don't have that first-round pick, that third-round pick. Our cap is not in great situation. It only makes sense today. 2 years from now, everybody's going to look back and say it was terrible.
And there's been similar for Hendricks.
Sure.
I was just like, are you people nuts? And all the fans that are pining for this. I'm old enough, I know I'm showing my age here, these people need to look up the John Hadel deal and get an idea of what that cost the Packers over the years back in the late 70s and 80s and how much that put us behind the 8 ball. I think we got what we need. I think with what Van Ness did at the end of the season, turning it up, let's give the kid a chance. And also, I've been keeping up with the pods, having been able to call in. My son and daughter-in-law blessed me with our first grandchild.
Hey, nice.
Last week. We were over in Wisconsin for the birth and a little girl, and couldn't be happier. Anyway, future Packer fan, as soon as she gets Social Security number, we're going to put her on the list for tickets. So hopefully when she's 40, she can get tickets. But anyway, go Pack, go. Bye.
Yeah, and the other thing with Watt is everybody's going to point to Reggie White and freaking Charles Woodson, right? Well, we went out and got these big free agents and then we won the Super Bowl. Okay, first of all, you can't just assume every time you go get a big free agent you're going to win. We've done that several times and didn't win Super Bowls. We unfortunately got very close with Julius Peppers, but we didn't get there thanks to some wild and crazy situations that unfolded that we don't need to talk about. And the Reggie White deal, by the way, I just looked up a couple other things. Number one, he was a free agent, so there was no There was no draft compensation given up. He was a completely free agent. The other thing is, if you look at the salary cap, and it was introduced the next year, but assume it's the same, if you adjust for inflation, the salary cap, he would have been signed for $34 million. It would be 137 over 4 years. He signed for 4 years, $17 million. In today's dollars, that would be 4 years, $137 million, which is $34 million per year. So the fact that we should give 40 for Watt, and a first, and a third, and and 2 players, including one of our first-round picks. I know you don't like him, but that's what it is. That's just you being insane and saying, I don't care, I want him. That's not a reasonable thing. The reality is the contract alone is almost prohibitive for getting him. Giving up additional compensation on top of that absolutely is prohibitive. There's just no way.
Ryan, what's up?
What's up, man?
I was listening to your episode today, and I had to just quick call in because you were talking about how you were watching the movie Oculus, which just so happens to be a top 10 horror movie for me. I fucking love that movie.
Which one is it?
Fantastic. Personally, I don't know how you could like watch it in 2 settings because like I was so invested that like I watched it beginning to end. There was no stopping that one for me. But to each their own. Not everybody's a movie person. Some people like to take breaks. I get it. Anyway,
I've ever done that.
Just thought I'd call in to see if there's a couple recommendations you might want for some horror movies.
Sure.
Maybe
I'm
for
always
the
looking.
upcoming spooky season. It's not too far away. It's not too far away. We're already halfway through July. All we got left is August, and then we're into fall. So the couple of movies that I was thinking might be up your alley, you might enjoy. One is called An American Werewolf in London. It's kind of a classic, so maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. That one you can stream right now. I think it's on Prime. It's like one of the free ones you can stream on there. So
okay.
The other one you may have to rent. It might be available sometime closer to September, October time frame, but it's called As Above, So Below. Those two great horror movies.
That. Is that like below the
second one is found footage style. I know not everybody's into that, but it really works for that movie. So
I think I've seen it.
Take a watch and let me know what you think. Go Pack Go.
Yeah, that's in Paris underground. They got all those underground tunnels you can get lost in and stuff, right? It was a while. I think it was like a year ago or so, but I did see that movie. It was pretty good. There are a couple like little creepy things in there. I know what you mean about the found footage thing because it's kind of like the camera camera gets left behind. You see something run past or whatever. But no, that's a good one. The American Werewolf in London, I probably should watch it. I always hesitate, though, with those kind of older. I know it's just 84. It's not like the 70s or anything, but I just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna do it or not. By the way, since we're talking movies, I know this is kind of off-season-y stuff. We're talking food and movies today. That's how it goes. By the way, the other thing, if there's a lot of swears, I'll end up bleeping it or whatever, but After Dark, you just got to be a little bit prepared. Maybe if you don't want to have your kids listen or whatever, I understand that. Sometimes I just let them slip. Couple movies I've seen recently that I thought were quite good. Bring Her Back. There's a movie, it's a 2025 movie called Bring Her Back. And if I were to describe it to myself, I don't think I would really want to watch it because it's very much like gore. It's kind of like a horror, but there's nothing really scary necessarily. I think if you watch like the first 30 seconds, you kind of get the hang of like where we're going with this, like the creepy in the basement, someone's being murdered kind of thing as this lady videotapes it. But I think it's Australian. They've actually had I've seen a couple Australian like horror movies that were actually pretty decent. I don't know if they've got like a big market out there or what, but anyways, Bring Her Back is solid. I know I just said I never take breaks. I didn't intend to take breaks. I just kind of fell asleep, but there's a movie called Locked, and it has Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. Kind of don't really know what's going on. It seems like one of those movies you'd hate because it takes place in one singular location, seemingly for the whole movie. I'm not really sure, but that's kind of how it's seeming. Don't really have a official stance on it yet, but it seems like it could be. I obviously pretty all-star cast, so I'm intrigued so far. I watched a movie. It's another 2025 movie called Drop. It's actually quite good. I feel like it's kind of in a category of movies. I can't think exactly what you'd call it, but it's, I have your family hostage. You need to do X, Y, and Z, or else this happens, kind of thing. Whatever. It's a good movie. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but don't play. I just wanted to click on it here. It's gonna start making noises. I'm trying to do a podcast. Heretic is actually quite good. That's got Hugh Grant in it. Just kind of one of those dudes, a creepy creeper dude, locked in the house, trying to get out, etc., etc. One that I actually watched last night for a second time. It's one of those, like, it was good enough that I wanted to watch it again, which is pretty rare. Is called Speak No Evil, another 2024 movie. That's got James McAvoy in it, which I would never know who that was, other than, like, you just have to watch and be like, oh, that guy. I really like James McAvoy. He seems to play, like, one type of character really well, and that's, like, people who are mentally disturbed. But, yeah, I just watched that again last night for the second time. It's a good movie. Kind of it says drama, horror, thriller. I saw Longlegs a little while ago. That's got Nicolas Cage. I was kind of like, I thought it was so weird. Like, is it kind of like a jokey comedy thing? The whole, like, Nicolas Cage doing this weird voice. It's a pretty decent movie. I was actually surprised because every time I look through all these movies I want to watch, they all have pretty low ratings, and I don't really want to watch them, especially in horror. I started looking at 2024, 2025 movies. They all have very good ratings, and they've actually been quite good. Longlegs was actually pretty solid. So, yeah, if you guys were... I'm not exactly sure if and where you'll be able to see any of these, but just there's Roadhouse. The new Roadhouse. You should probably watch the old Roadhouse first, but... Yeah, so that's kind of the ones I've seen pretty recently, and I've been pleasantly surprised with all of them. So, Speak No Evil, Heretic, Locked, if you want to give it a shot. Again, I haven't watched it fully, so I don't really know. Drop is quite good, and Bring Her Back. They're all recent movies, horror or horror adjacent, with the exception of Locked, which I don't know what you'd call that, suspense maybe? It says thriller horror, I don't know. Dude's locked in a car. Like, it doesn't get... There's no worse plot in the world, but, I mean, it's... Skarsgård and Hopkins, just, you gotta give it a shot. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back with Craig.
Hey, Ryan, it's Craig from Indiana. I haven't
Hey.
called for a while, but been listening religiously to the
Good, I appreciate that.
podcast and After Dark and everything, which is great. Makes my day. Appreciate you plugging through the off season.
We made it.
Excited about camp and already planning on going to the Lions game and the Panthers game, and also a couple of away games this year. I got tickets to Pittsburgh, which will be fun.
Awesome.
And then out in Arizona, I got some cousins out there, so we're
Nice.
gonna get together and have to make it a long weekend and check out the game. So it's part of my bucket list to get to every stadium that the Packers play in and see the Packers playing.
That's such a good goal. I was even thinking, like, again, Lambeau's great, Green Bay's great, all that, especially being the home team is nice. But I feel like if I wanted to start going to games, I'd rather go to away games just to kind of experience other places, take a little vacation out of the state, see some new stadiums, especially some of the more revamped ones. I know the Minnesota fans are supposed to be pretty brutal, but I'd like to get out there and see that. If Chicago ever creates that new stadium, I'd like to see it. Detroit, I really couldn't care less. I have no interest really to go there. But as much as I'm kind of a stay-at-home body, if I had a bunch of money, I'd be going to like every single away game. Well, that's not true. I don't think I'd go to Cleveland. Scrap the first one. Dallas would be cool. I'd like to be able to go there. Arizona would be cool. Pittsburgh, I don't know if I'd really want to go outside of because of the Aaron Rodgers thing. Giants, I don't know. The away games kind of suck, actually. This year's not great. And then Denver, Chicago, Minnesota. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. I mean, I guess Denver would be kind of interesting. Usually, there's more interest. Even the preseason, the only away game is Indy. Ugh. I mean, that's where you guys are at. I know that. So, no offense meant there, but I don't know. It'd be nice to go to Tampa, Carolina. I mean, any of the California ones, any of the Florida ones, any of the Texas ones, Tennessee, Georgia. What do we get? We get all the Rust Belt states. Here's the factories that are closed down, and then here's your stadium, and here's your motel. Okay, that's great. Enjoy your smog and your onion chili or nonsense, whatever skyline disgusting garbage.
I probably have about 7 or 8 of them under my belt, so I'll get a couple others this year, which will be cool.
Nice.
A couple of questions given off season. How good do you think our defense would have to be for Jeff Hafley to almost be guaranteed, more interviews for head coach and possibly, the high risk of losing them? I mean, is that a top 3 defense and I know it's theoretical, but at what point do you think, he already had one interview, but if I just wondered what your thought was around if we're this good, there's a good chance the guy's gone, and if we're a top 10, he'll get more interviews, but maybe he wouldn't leave.
Yeah, I mean, so we were top 10 last year, depending on the metrics you're using. I would say if we're top 10 again with improvement, I think people are going to look at Jair left, and they're going to expect some kind of regression, and if he can continue to keep these DBs going, if McKinney can still dominate the back end, and then the biggest thing I think is if there's pass rush improvement. If the Packers can maintain top 10, slight improvement overall wherever they were, if they were 9th, if they can be 8th or better, and there's pass rush, I just think there's so much upside with Hafley. First of all, he's assembled an incredible team. The guys that he has assembled to run our defense are amazing. His personality is fantastic. He has head coaching experience in college. He has great ties and great relationships with a lot of high-end people in the NFL and in college. And those relationships are bearing themselves out in his ability to recruit coaches. He has great teaching ability. I just think there's so much upside to a guy like Hafley. I mean, you could look at it and say his skill set is more geared toward defensive coordinator than head coach. You could make that argument, and maybe there's something there, I don't know. You could look negatively on the Boston College experiment, although it's hard to do so because the whole, a lot of your job is to be a recruit and all that weird stuff that comes with being in college. Plus, it's hard to like revamp an entire program, not to make excuses, but it's not like the NFL where in a year you can go from a 4-win team to a 12-win team. Well, maybe you can, but the point is there's such a huge gap between the great teams and the bad teams in college football. To actually catch those teams is really difficult. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be nervous either way unless there's a regression, in which case we got bigger problems. But the other thing that does get me excited is we have a bunch of former DCs and DC candidate type players in the building. Maybe Covington can step up and be our defensive coordinator. Maybe Ansley can step up and be our defensive coordinator. Whatever. So I think I hope he stays. I really hope. I hate to be that guy. I mean, I wish the best for him and everything else, but I think he's doing great as a DC. My hope is with a lot of these guys, everybody's snake bit. Like, you look at Derek Ansley and say, well, what if he's so good? He had his shot and it went poorly, right? DeMarcus Covington, he had his shot in New England and it went poorly. Do people really want to give them another shot? Now, there are extenuating circumstances, but there's at least the chance that everybody we have is about as high as they're going to get, which means they're going to be stuck with us, which is a beautiful thing. But we'll have to see, because again, if the Packers win the Super Bowl and it's on the back of a top 2 or this dominant defense, he's gone, and a lot of these guys are gone. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm sure interviews are coming.
Do you think there's any other coaches that if their particular part of our program is just phenomenal, that we're at risk of losing? So yeah. Whether that's Butkus or a wide receiver coach or someone else on defense or something. We've lost a few to some promotions. And I'm okay if you don't want to answer the question at all. I was just thinking of some off-season stuff to talk about. But again, appreciate everything you do. Keep up the good work. Go Pack, go.
That's the other positive thing on the offensive side is teams are kind of probably getting a little snake bit for the Matt LaFleur tree, of which there really isn't one. I mean, Matt LaFleur is the offense. He's the mastermind behind all this stuff. They've tried poaching all these different guys, and every Packer that's left and been promoted, for the most part, from what I can tell, it's been a complete failure. So I don't know how, even if it's warranted, how likely a lot of people are going to be to want to rush out and promote somebody to be their OC that was under Matt LaFleur, or certainly promoting somebody to be the head coach or anything. That's probably out of the question. So, it's one of the positives that we have going for us is I just feel like we have the mastermind in Matt LaFleur. And so, number one, even if somebody gets poached, doesn't matter. I think we're going to keep things afloat. But also, I think a lot of teams are going to look at it and say, I don't want to. It's just, we've tried it and it's not great. So we'll have to see. I do wonder about the defensive side. I think we're loaded with the guys that were seen as these rising stars that just took one step too many, probably a step too early, and it didn't go well, and they ended up with the Green Bay Packers. And like I've said, they're all overqualified, in my opinion. We have a bunch of overqualified guys, and there's a good chance they're all going to get poached, but if they don't, we have just got the dream team going on. Daniel from California.
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California.
What's up?
I'm a little confused because, I just hear everybody always saying the Packers, corner group can't take them. I know, it's pretty, that's the thing, right? But it's just, I think Javon Fuller, if I'm not correct, was one of the guys that was surprising to you, right? He was really high or really low, kind of like how a rookie should be. But he had some high-end play and some low-end play. He's basically our nickel safety, right? We don't really do nickel corners too much. We do a lot of nickel safeties, and we have 3 corners we like. Supposedly, the coaching staff is really high on Kalen King, so they got maybe 4 guys that they like, and I think there's a 5th guy too that was standing out in OTAs and minicamp. So it's I'm not saying we have a good group. I'm not saying we have some top 10 unit, but just like last year, we have guys that are going to mask that. We have Bullard, who could play in the slot, and Hobbs can mix in there too. But we got a couple safeties that have the ability to go in there. First, if Bullard takes a year 2 leave, he can play safety, and we could put McKinney there. We could put Evan Williams there. All these guys are very multiple at safety, so it's I don't think corners is big of a deal because we only need 2 corners at a time. Even Isaiah Simmons, whatever the linebacker is, he could, on early run plays against a heavy passing offense, let's just say versus the Vikings who throw the ball all over the field, versus them, he could be on the field and be your nickel linebacker because he is a nickel linebacker, right? He might not be very good, but he's he has a floor to him. I don't see the corner being as big of a weakness as everybody thinks it is. We have 3 guys that we feel good about. We have a 4th guy that's a good prospect, and I don't know who the 5th guy is. I'm drawing blank, but I thought there was somebody else that the team really liked. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just going to say we have 4 good guys that the team feels good about. And if they don't feel good about it, there's always names to add depth, right? There's always some guy they can find on the street to add that depth. So I'm not worried. I'm excited. Corner still, I thought we were past the corner issue, but now that everybody's doing their rankings, it's I don't think they could be good, be top unit because of their corners. It's come on. You can't have a top. There's no perfect team, all right? You could be good with just everybody being average. So, come on, let's go. Go Pack, go.
Well, yeah, I mean, to your last point, every team's got their issues. You look at teams like Pittsburgh, and it's well, they've got this elite defense, and everybody knows they have the elite defense. And it's yeah, but really, they just have an elite front. You know what I mean? It's because their front is so scary. They can have some issues on the back end, and nobody knows, and nobody really cares. That's the other problem is nobody really knows stuff. People, I want to have a defense like Baltimore or whatever the defense is that you love. And it's like, well, what do you know about Baltimore's defense? What does Baltimore have? Can anyone even name a Baltimore player? Well, now you can name Jair Alexander, right? But outside of that, what is it that makes Baltimore a good defense? Tell me about their defensive line or their pass rushers. Pittsburgh has this dominant front with T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward, the same group. Somehow Cam Hayward, at 36 years old, is still getting it done. I don't know how they're doing that. They drafted Derek Harmon because they know that defensive front is their strength. But it's not that they don't have weaknesses out there. Saying they can't be a top unit because they don't have this, that, or the other, or whatever the case may be. I don't remember. Did they just pick up Slay? That's the other problem. I mean, they've got 34-year-old Darius Slay. Jalen Ramsey, did they? I'm trying to remember what their construction was last year. But the point is everybody's got holes. They got holes at safety. They got holes at linebacker. They got obviously at least questions at corner because you got guys like Slay that, Slay had a decent year last year, but he's had maybe 2 good years in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's pretty iffy. Jalen Ramsey also very up and down, going on 31 years old. Again, the Eagles didn't have a ton of holes. They were one of the very rare. I mean, they depending on how strict you want to be, you could say they do have holes, but not many. But generally speaking, yeah, everybody's going to have some weaknesses. You just have to overcome that. And then, I've also addressed the other point. I don't know how many times where, the idea that they can't be a good unit because of the corners. Okay, they were top 10 last year with the exact same guys. I don't understand what you're talking about. Now, when it comes to these corners, again, I don't remember exactly what I said or what you were thinking of, but I legitimately do not like Bullard. I don't think Bullard is very good. He is right now our slot corner. They are working on right now with training camp having Valentine, I think it was Valentine, Hobbs, and Nixon in the slot. Maybe it was Hobbs in the slot. I can't exactly remember which one went to the slot. I don't know why that didn't stick out in my mind because it is an important question, who would be the one that slides inside. But no, I don't like that construction. I'm not a fan of Bullard. I don't think Williams really moves around. I think it's McKinney and Williams are our safeties, and that's it. I think right now Nixon and Hobbs are our boundary guys, and Bullard will be strictly our slot corner. Again, I'm hoping it ends up being Valentine, Nixon, Hobbs. Keep Williams, McKinney as safeties, and then we'll just go from there. As far as trying to use Isaiah Simmons as some kind of a dual threat, I think we go in the other direction rather than saying you're going to be our linebacker / corner / pass rusher / safety like everybody thought he was going to be. I think it's you're a linebacker and here's your very limited role as a linebacker, because the reality is he's not doing a good job of handling things in the NFL. So I'd probably want to restrict him more than anything else. So yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it as of right now. I think, again, I see the issues. I saw them last year. The thing is, it just wasn't an issue. Everybody was freaking out about the corners, and I remember making that point. There was a point in time where we were getting beat up through the air quite a bit, and everybody was mad. And I went and looked at it, and it's like, guys, it's our safeties and our linebackers that are giving up all the passes. The corners have given up nothing. I mean, Stokes was giving up nothing. And it's like, well, they're just being protected. Okay, then fine. Like, it doesn't matter the reason. That's just a reason for why it's happening. The fact is, though, it's happening. If the coaching staff is able to find a way to, quote-unquote, protect them, whatever that even means, then good. Then they're figuring out a way for what you consider to be a liability to not be a liability. So what are we even talking about here? All right. Why don't we get out of here? I'm feeling some music, so we should probably do some music. I got to get rocking on a little bit of notes, and then we got some more practice for tomorrow. Super excited. Tomorrow, obviously, for you on the podcast, we'll be talking about the notes from today's training camp. But, yeah, pretty pumped, pretty excited, purred jacked, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye. By the way, holy crap, this song goes hard. Have a good one.
Welcome back to After Dark, where the lost souls leave their mark. Caller online to tonight, voices shaking full of fright. Said he watched Oculus alone, now the mirrors in his home show reflections that aren't there, moving shadows, empty stare. Calling through the static, something's crawling. After dark, the truth comes out. Voices screaming, filled with doubt. On the airwaves in the night, nothing here will be alright. After dark, after dark. Caller 3 from Euclides found a recipe for dread. Armadillo eggs that bleed, plant the nightmares, watch them feed. Signals fading, losing ground, haunted frequency surround. Every caller brings their curse, making everything much worse. Can you hear the whispers calling? Through the static, something's crawling. After dark, the truth comes out. Voices screaming, filled with doubt. On the airwaves in the night, nothing here will be alright. After dark. Still here. We never left. The show must go on forever. Line is dead, but voices stay. In the silence, shadows play. Horror movies come alive. None of us will survive. Locked inside this broadcast hell.